Total War Warhammer 3 brings a brand new siege mechanic to the game in minor settlement battles. And a lot of people have been struggling with minor settlements or with actual big provincial capital walled city sieges. So in this video today, I want to help try to break down some of the mysticism between either defending or attacking in a siege battle. So the way we're going to do this video is I've actually recorded in the midst of a stream, so it might be a little spotchy here and there because, again, it is a stream that I've recorded. But I'm going to walk you through how I would attack a minor settlement using Grand Cathay, and then I'm going to go through how I would set up a defense. We're not going to go through the actual defensive battle, but pretty much just kind of give you some good pointing tips. But to start us off here, and you can jump to either portion using the chapters in the timeline and the description, of course. But just to kind of give you a quick little down and dirty tip when it comes to doing your siege battles or fighting minor settlements, you want to make sure you're attacking from multiple angles. You don't want to go in from just one angle, because this way it allows you to grab the supply points, which will then add to your momentum. Momentum is a great way to increase, well, it is the way to increase your melee attack, your leadership, and your vigor as well. And a big tip here is shut off defense, the little shield at the bottom of your unit cards, and formation attack if you're playing as Cathay. Formation attack is only present there. But if you're experiencing your units drop move orders or drop attack orders, those are the two big things that are probably hindering you and you don't even know it. So those are just some down and dirty tips here that you can use to get started. We're going to go through those in the video, but just to kind of give you a quick upfront little bit of information so you can decide to stick around if you want. That's all you pretty much need to know. There's obviously more details to it, but just to kind of give you an idea. But before we get started, if you've not yet picked up Warhammer 3, you can support the channel by using the link to my Nexus Store. Nexus provides Steam keys directly from the developer, and I get a cut of every sale, which helps keep the channel alive. Lastly, if you end up enjoying the content, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. I cannot tell you how much it helps out. Let's get started here on winning siege battles in Total War Warhammer 3. All right, so jumping into the game, and like I said in the intro here, this is a stream I'm recording, so if it looks a little weird and it's a little kind of offbeat, it's because I'm streaming and this is me recording it. So to jump into the first kind of minor settlement battle that you deal with Grand Cathay, I want to talk about, how to attack this, because I think a lot of people are getting hung up on how to attack minor settlements because they're approaching it from the same angle they did in Total War Warhammer 1 and 2, where it's just not the case. You don't kind of jump down the pipe and hit everything in one direction. It's not to mention not talking about the band here. It's a little bit different, and we're going to go into that right here. So this is a big old Grand Cathay army, and I'm actually I've got a cannon here, but we're not going to use it. I'm going to bring it all the way back here and shut it off. And this army is set up roughly how your starting army from Miao Ying would look, plus a little bit more units added in, right? This is all tier 1 stuff for the most part. I think you start off with Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen with Miao Ying, I can't recall. But for the most part, I know you get 1 or 2 Iron Hail Gunners, so this should be roughly it. And then for the army in here, it's about what you would look for when you're fighting against the dissenters of Lord Jin Shen. So that would be there. So let's go ahead and talk about, before we even get into the actual how to approach this fight. I'm sorry, before we get into actually pressing start battle, the big thing is you don't go like this. You don't just go, oh, okay, cool. Great, we're good to go. Press start battle. I'm going to just charge down this causeway and see how it goes. This causeway here. That's not what you should do. The big thing in minor settlement battles here for Total War Warhammer 3 is you need to attack from multiple angles. And if you don't, you're going to deal with all the AI's opposition in one angle. You're going to be jamming yourself through a kill box, and it's just not going to go well for you. And the big thing are these supply locations. Now, the supply locations are going to allow the defender to build barricades and towers. They should have about 1,000 starting supply, and they'll be able to use that to make 1 or 2 towers, or a variation of towers and barricades. More often than not, the AI will choose to do 1 or 2 towers, maybe 1 tower, 1 barricade, but it just depends really on how you do things. So what I would do is, before I even jump into the fight, if I'm trying to learn how to play this, I would look at which one of these supply locations is particularly useful. Now, as you can see, not all of them all are made equal. This one doesn't have any towers made to it or attached to it. This has 1 tower, 2 barricades, has 1 tower, 2 barricades. This, though, has got 2 towers. And then what is that, like 4? That's 7 barricades? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 6, yeah, 7 barricades. And then we get the key building, which is the big one here, because look at what the key building does. It gives siege defender melee defense plus 15% and leadership plus 10. Affected unit is inside of the walls of the fort and has hit points greater than 25%. So when I press start battle, the entire army has a 15% melee defense bonus. Remember, melee defense is the ability in which you will be hit, whereas melee attack is the ability to hit your opponent. So what you really want to do here is basically kind of make a plan to take this one more often than most. Yeah, sure, the key location is great to shut down the melee defense, but what you want to get is your momentum buff. The momentum buff will add to your melee attack, your leadership, and your vigor. It'll allow you to have your units not become exhausted. If they get exhausted, they move slower on the map, everything like that. So if I take a look at this map, I want to focus on this one first because it's a pretty crap little one. It doesn't really do much. So I want to take this one first, then we'll focus on this one, and then hopefully culminate in that one. And the momentum buff has stacking percentages to it. And I'll show you once we grab one how that all works. So what we're going to do here is come back in. I'm going to set up now my army in some different locations. So this is what you need to kind of take a look at. When you're playing as demons, if you're playing as Cathay, as Kislev, everyone has some sort of crap tier, very fast attacking cavalry unit or Chaos Warhounds or Furies. I almost said Furries. Use your Chaos... Almost said Furries again. Use your Chaos Furies because you want to use those to take down your towers. Every single demon army you make should have 2 to 4 Furies because those are the things that are going to be crucial in taking towers out for the Chaos Demons, all the Chaos Demon factions. Because sure, with Cathay, I can fire them down with cannons, with a lot of ranged troops, or with Kislev, you have a ton of gunpowder that can do it. You could even use Miao Ying in her dragon form to do such things, but honestly, Furies are one of the best early game units just for the ability to shut down towers. They cannot capture points though, and that is what these kind of low tier cav units are going to do for us. So I'm going to move mine all the way over here, and this puts me right in line to grab this through either one of these entry points, whichever one is pretty much less defended. And the more units you allocate towards one direction, again, not the band, the AI will focus towards. So what I mean by that is, if I put everything right here, and then like 2 or 3 things out on this flank over there, the AI is going to put the majority of their units right here. And that's good. We want that to happen. We want to trick the AI. So we're actually going to take some units, and I want to support some units with some range units, so we'll do that. So that's 2 infantry, 2 range, and I'm going to put a hero over here. I'm going to put a wizard right there. So now I've got an entryway into this little crucial supply point. But I'm also going to do the same thing. You know what? We're going to group these together here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to take these spearmen. And again, is pretty much there to just kind of add a layer of distraction, more or less, for the AI. So what do I have left? So I've got... I'm actually going to put that in a control group so I can see it a little bit easier. Oops. That's my control group. They're in control group 2. Let's see here. I want to take... We're going to keep these Iron Hail Gunners. Keep that right here. With these crossbowmen. And we're going to keep Miao Ying right here too. So that's going to be control group 2. Now, another thing to look at is the AI will typically focus on wherever your commander is. They know that that thing is crucial, so they want to get rid of it as well. So my commander being over here, the AI might now stack towards this defensive point. So we're going to take actually these Jade Lancers, and I'm going to put them with my like Outriders all the way over here. And we'll use these to capture points. And we'll take the remaining units. We'll kind of put them back over here. We'll just kind of have this nice little like peasant line right there, and I'll put that just in another control group just for easy look-ins. And there we go. So we've got everyone kind of set up. Again, now we've surrounded this on 4 sides. So now when I press start battle, the AI has allocated defenses across the way here, right? And like I said, remember, they're going to probably focus more towards my what's that called? General. And you can see the AI has done just that. It's all pretty much right here. They've got 3 units right there with some smattering right there to go and help reinforce. But this whole entire entryway is completely uncontested. Same thing with this one. And that is crucial. That's what's going to give us a little bit of an edge up in this battle, because it shows you that the AI is not really good at dealing with being split on a bunch of different avenues. So we're going to get into this Cathayan peanut, because it does look like a giant peanut. It also kind of looks like a set of testicles, but I'm going to ignore that I've said that right now. And I'm going to tell you that I'm going to just simply take this unit, hold down shift, actually I'm going to hold down alt, and bring them like right up the pipe, right there. Let it go right there and go to grab that point. I'm going to take all my outriders, and we're going to go right here, right for this point. And then we'll take this unit, and we'll just kind of have them start marching up. This unit doesn't need to win. It just needs to kind of keep the enemy pinned in this location. And my main force will do the same thing. Just kind of get them going forward. So I'm going to unpause this, and for the sake of brevity, I'm going to speed this up. It might cause a lot of errors on my part, but that's okay. I'm trying to get to a certain point to talk about another thing. I guess it is more like a kidney if you look at it. So we'll go ahead and pause right there. And this is probably what you're thinking. Well, I'm sustaining so much fire. This is when I usually just start getting my ass kicked. What do I do here? You just kind of gotta get up in that face, start doing some damage. You can have your crossbowmen, or where are our crossbowmen? We have everything kind of focus on one thing. We'll use our casting, start using some fun stuff, or even missile mirror here. I've actually never really used this ability. Can I not use it on that? What the hell's going on? Oh, oops. I have to target the enemy. I'm like, whoa. Alright, so those are just redirecting back. Got my units charging in. Miao Ying is doing her thing. And I'm sorry for it getting choppy. That's just kind of what happens when you fast forward everything. And we'll go back over to this flank, and like I said, it's just there to kind of pin things in place. Yeah, now they're going to start moving towards the other capture points to try and prevent me from taking them. And that's kind of what I wanted to have happen here. I can use these guys now to overwhelm this flank. These guys are getting into position for me. Oh no, they already have some units here. How do my peasant guys go over there instead? Well, that's okay. No matter. Like I said, I'm playing in fast forward, so that does tend to mess things up a bit here.
Crossbowmen, naturally. The Storm Dragon.
So we've already broken that unit. For some reason, in my haste of pressing fast forward, I completely threw all my frontline, my Iron Hail gunners into the fray here, which I don't recommend you do. But like I said, I'm definitely going to be making some mistakes here. So we'll have her jump into Dragon form really quick, and we'll come back over here. So one thing I want to talk about is these capture points. Now the capturing of these points is weighted according to what unit is on it. So you've got a bunch of different sizes of units, right? You've got an infantry style unit, which on Ultra, this is 120. So that's quite large, right? Get up in that face, man. What are you doing back here? So 120 soldiers are going to be sitting on this capture point. And remember, the capture point is, if I hover over this, you can see the red bounding box. It needs to be within that in order for it to start capturing. Right now, of course, it is capturing. Now, multiple units in there are going to allow it to capture faster. But as far as hierarchy goes, infantry caps the fastest. Cavalry caps the second fastest, and then monstrous infantry and monstrous cavalry units cap the second or the third fastest. They cap the slowest. Well, that's not true. Sorry. Single entity monsters and generals, stuff like that, they cap the absolute slowest. So basically, if I have a single infantry unit blocking a capture point and you have a really strong single monster coming in and swatting them, they'll still hold the line and keep that point from being captured because they just kind of outnumber it. So that's just something worth noting, because if you're trying to capture something in a heat of a moment, it gives you an idea of, you know, kind of how that works. Let's go ahead and do that. And right there. So this is something I want to also illustrate. Notice how my units, I've told them to attack and they're just not doing it. And it's become frustrating, right? I'm sure you as a player have noticed this too. So this is why I also selected Cathay. This right here. Turn off formation attack. It's what's causing your units to try and stay within yin and yang and keep their formation of infantry in front, ranged behind. It only applies to Cathay. And it's why you get so much units just kind of dropping stuff. So you can see here, I've got it. I control aid and turned it off for everyone. So formation attack, while a cool thing in theory, just gets you completely murdered, especially in these little minor settlement battles. We'll jump back over here to Miao Ying, whose army I've unfortunately left very, very like in disrepair. Now this is an example here too where I would use Miao Ying to destroy this piercing tower. I don't have to deal with it anymore. And the Iron Hail Gunners, who are doing great at the front line up there, but let's go ahead and just push through. And what's this right flank doing? Again, remember, the right flank's not there to win the battle. It's just there to pull the attention away from the rest of the army, while this goes down. So now that we've captured this, we can talk about the momentum bonus. So here it is right here. So this is a passive ability. It stacks by 4% and 4% melee attack, 2 leadership every time you get an additional point. And you can see that it's got a little bar there. So if you don't do it in time, then you lose momentum. You lose your momentum. So that intensity increasing is absolutely crucial, because you can see that you can offset that massive melee defense bonus that your opponent gets by simply getting 4 of these actual points, right? Like, I think it's 4, right? Yeah, 4, 4, 4. That's 4 times 4 is 16. But then you can go one further and kind of one up them to get a full 20% melee attack bonus, leadership bonus here. So momentum is crucial. And it, of course, is very big to shutting down your enemy supply, and as well as the ability for them to make barricades and towers, like we've said. So now that we've captured this point, we're already getting chased by some peasant longbowmen or spearmen. I'm not even going to wait. There's no reason for me to sit here. I'm going to just go around over here and go towards this point. Oh, hold on. We'll do this. Get in close. Press backspace to clear that. Shift. And right into there. That looks like the wonkiest ride I've ever seen, but we're gonna see how it goes.
Warriors.
Unfortunately, we lost a little space here because of formation attack set us backwards.
I stand ready.
Miao Ying is just shutting down that tower for us. They have a magic tower up there somewhere too? Yeah, they got a magic tower, that big boy. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, why don't you just simply take your big scary range unit in Miao Ying and go take this? Well, you can't. You cannot, as a flying unit, go and take things. So your Furies, anything that's going to be flying on the battlefield, cannot just simply take a point. You need to use ground infantry units. Well, ground units, not infantry. Just ground units. In fact, I'm going to use Miao Ying, though, and focus on this Lord Magistrate. Because by doing that, it'll kind of help tip the battle for me. Unfortunately, I really butchered these Iron Hail Gunners in the wrong location over here. But it is what it is. We're in a little bit of a pickle here, too. No big deal. Okay, so I know this is supposed to be an instructional video, so this would be a first instructional video to tell you don't do that. Don't accidentally cast on your own units, because it'll hurt them. Alright, so we got in our cav over here. Again, we have to make sure they stay in on the actual point itself.
Defenders of Cathay! The celestial daughter.
You know, we'll get a little cheeky over here. Vortex spells can come in handy in this situation. We'll do a little Talon of Night over there.
Warrior crossbow!
This will be a cool cinematic for the video.
Mistress of Storm.
If you've not seen this ability, it's amazing looking. And that'll kind of help change the flow of that battle over there.
Cannot be lost. It must be done. Marching as one. Minds as one.
We're going to sneak in over here and capture this point. Use Miao Ying to shut down these Jade Warrior crossbowmen. And we're getting this point over here. So now look, we've gotten a second one. Intensity just increased to 40%. So 8% up now to 20. 8% increase to our melee attack, leadership up to 4. So we're getting a lot of bonuses here. My army is suffering a lot of damage, especially over here in this location, which I've just completely failed with. So I apologize in my example over here. I did not pay attention over there in the very beginning, and it cost me pretty much the entire unit, the entire army in that section. You go ahead and reduce the melee attack over here of everything. Miao Ying's destroying stuff over there. We're getting this next point, and we can start to use our cav, which has successfully grabbed a lot of points for us, to start kind of changing the flow of battle for us now.
Cavalry.
Get them away from these spearmen and jump over here, maybe help out on this location. Have Miao Ying go destroy this. And look what just happened, right? We captured this point. Our intensity went up to another 12% now, and we shut down all these big towers that were doing a lot of damage to us. There's still this one over here, which is the Big Daddy one, that's doing a lot of damage and hurting Miao Ying as best it can. You do have to be mindful, right? These things have like a pretty gnarly range. If you hover over them, I don't think if I do it, it'll show. No, it won't. If you hover over them, it shows you a pretty rough and tumble range on these guys, so you have to watch out, and it will clip through the walls, which is kind of bullshit, but at the same time, as long as you're just quick to keep moving, those walls won't be able to do much damage to her. When I wasn't having her moved, she was taking some good shots in the face, and that's not good. But since then, now remember too, still, if I press pause and I look at the enemy, go ahead and look at their unit card. Look at this right here. That's their Siege Defender trait. It's always there. Anytime you want to find any current active passive trait that's being applied to units, you would jump and take a look at your unit info card. You see this little scroll up there. It tells you everything. So again, Siege Defender, he's also got his Will the Dragon bonus and his Tactician buffs, but it's neither here nor there. We're about to put the fork in this turkey. It's done. I don't know if they say that, but that's the sentence I'm going to go with. We'll go ahead and have her increase some stuff. And just go to town on the leadership. So at this point, we now have a really good bonus, right? We're holding this cap point. They're going to go ahead and start taking this one back. That's okay. We've gotten so much bonus from the momentum already that it's really not that much of a worry now. We'll go ahead and we'll try to get sneaky with this. That probably won't work too well, but there we go. It did the job. So once we beat this guy out, and we'll go ahead and... So you might notice too that this is worth noting. You see her stopping the attack. It's not because the order was dropped. It's because of the way the AI allocates threat and damage from a single entity monster. So you look at her. She is this large, huge beast, and see how she flew back up again? It's because her original thought was, okay, I'm going to attack this guy, but I instead killed one of these little Jade Warriors. I've alleviated the threat. I'm good to fly back in the air. The way you get around that is by just simply spamming right click. It keeps the attack order locked onto him versus doing the closest thing that is an enemy. By doing this, like I said, it just keeps that from happening, and there you go. Victory, you are done with. So to quickly jump back and just to kind of talk about one more portion of this before we end this little recording and jump back to the actual live stream. Again, I butchered that whole front line defense, but you can see it still really worked out. I just want to switch this to defenders and talk very quickly about how to defend. We're not going to go through a whole defense portion of this, but it is important just to kind of make this distinction. So loading into this actual map, we see things a little bit differently, right? And now we know where the AI is, right? On offensive side, we don't know where they are. Defensively, of course, we do. So we have to kind of make the decision of how to defend this. And really, it's kind of the same thing. You want to focus on killing their lord as fast as possible. So what I'm actually going to do here is just take these peasant long spearmen and put them right here, because I just want them to hold the line so that I can use my lord to focus down and killing theirs. Pretty much this will get the majority of my attention, while the other routes are just going to get plugged up with this action. We'll do this right here. And this will allow my crossbowmen to shoot into theirs, while my frontline Jade Warriors hold the line. And over here, we'll have our Jade Warriors again just hold the line. Now, if you do have something like this, I put crossbowmen right behind my Jade Warriors. It's okay, that can happen, because I'll shoot over it. But in this case, don't put gunpowder units right behind these Jade Warriors so that they won't shoot into it. You can mount them on the wall, but I've heard that there are some bugs right now with that. So you'd want something that would be either a higher altitude, a hill, anything like that, or far back enough that they'd be able to shoot at them. So right now I'd probably just kind of leave these Iron Hail Gunners in a different location, maybe over here. So the big thing though is you want to take advantage of the fact that you've got this melee defense bonus, right? So to do that, you want to plug up as many routes into your location as possible, and you want to look at your defensive supplies. When you're holding a defensive location, use these to build up your towers more than your actual barricades, because the towers are going to give you a lot of help. So if you look at this, you get the 4 little variations. The first 2 are just going to be nice, solid damage towers, but these latter 2, especially this 4th one, is going to do a ton of damage. And if you look at this, it has a lot of explosive damage on here. So if you can like tar pit them in this little channel right here, then that tower is just going to constantly bombard them and do damage. If you start this game out, you'll probably have 1,000 defensive supplies. So you wouldn't, ideally, you'd probably make a tower here because this faces their enemy opponent. And then maybe another tower. You can make one back here. Let me see. If you press tab, it's a little bit easier to look at everything. Let's go ahead and make it right here. Now the reason I'm doing that is because this tower, its arc will go this direction and this direction. So it can get some what's it called? Some overwatch in this direction if they breach. Now, with my army, I also brought a cannon, and you won't have this in the beginning portions of the game, but it's something I wanted to kind of illustrate, that the cannon can be used in locations that are not, like, you don't have to place it right here. You can place it really high up over here, and as long as it has line of sight, it'll start shooting at whatever you want it to. You see this big, huge arc. I mean, as this army comes in through that little causeway, it's going to get shelled nonstop by my cannon. And my cannon can then pivot to help out over here if I needed to. So put any artillery piece in a nice back far away position, because the way that they've actually created these maps now is that there's a lot of really cool locations to take advantage of that, right? Like even this right here. It's not all the way up there, but it's right in this location where it's going to have a great line of sight on anything in this location over here. So definitely take advantage of these little cool overhangs like this. Not even for just artillery. You could put archers up here like these Celestial Dragon crossbowmen. They could be really well used to like a location over here to try and take advantage of that and shoot into anyone's coming into this courtyard. So use these defensive positions to the best of your ability, and just kind of know that what your primary focus is going to be is trying to tar pit the not so important flanks of the AI like this here and this one over here, and bulldoze down this. Because especially if you're fighting a demon force, if you kill their leader, the entire force starts to insubstantiate and kind of like fade away into the nether, right? So just holding into these natural killing to really help you out. So the big question though is, when do you use these barricades? Because honestly, I don't actually use the barricades. There's 4 options for the barricades. One is a buff, one is a debuff, and this first one here gives you an ability to shoot off of it. It gives you a little platform to shoot from. So you could actually place like a barricade here or here and here and put range units to shoot into anything in this courtyard. That's definitely doable, but more often than not, you can use just a barricade blocker to have the AI, I'll press that button, the AI will now, not necessarily, they can destroy this if they want, but they'll probably look at it and go, that's an obstruction, it's not a path of least resistance, I might as well go to one of these 3 locations. So then you can use that to your advantage and create further killing fields. So let's go ahead and just put 2 barricades here. So now the AI will probably not go like this or like this, and they'll use that path of least resistance to come here to this much better, juicier strategic point, right? In which case, okay, I've already got these Celestial Dragon Crossbowmen giving me Overwatch in this location. Or maybe I've got these guys back here ready to shoot at anything coming my way. I mean, I could get fancy here and put barricades up and just place them right on it. But don't feel like you have to use the entire map. Just try to shut them down before they even get a chance to take away your melee defense buff. And lastly, the one big thing I do want to talk about is you see where they're coming from, right? You know that they're coming from these 3 angles. Well, use this 4th angle to your advantage. If you have any kind of monstrous cavalry, if you have any light cav, anything like that that's quick on the move, use those outriders to place them right out here and get a good drop on the enemy. You see, okay, hey, I really want this army to get beat up by my main force, so I'm not too worried about it. But maybe this army over here is really suffering against this. We'll use those outriders, get in that back line. Here, let me do this again. Use these outriders to come all the way around and really start to harass over here. You basically use those outriders in the same way you would offensively, right? But rather than trying to penetrate into the fort, you're using them to just to defend the flanks, or use them to really hit into their flanks immediately. When you've got stuff like this, it's got Vanguard deployment. I could even have these guys place right here. Actually, that's not even part of the Vanguard. Oh yeah, it is. So I could have them coming in this direction, and I'm already ready to just jump onto that force and smash it apart. So hopefully this helps you out in trying to figure out how to establish, excuse me, as I hit puberty, establish how to defend your fortresses or your settlements or whatnot in Total War Warhammer 3. I know this is a big point of contention. People are struggling with this, but remember, if you're playing Cathay, shut off formation attack and shut off toggle guard mode if you don't want your units to if you want your units to kind of keep attacking. If this has got guard mode on and something hits the front of it and they win this fight, they'll stop doing anything. They won't chase them or anything like that. So just make sure guard mode and formation attack are not working against you. Make sure you're pushing advantages, like if you're attacking, you're grabbing these supply locations, and if you're defending, you're holding on to these choke points to focus down their leadership elements as fast as you can. And if you have any questions, anything you're struggling with, just go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. Always happy to help out. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.